From refusing to get vaccinated and missing out on the Australian Open to tearing his hamstring during a game, Novak Djokovic is slowly crawling towards losing his world #1 ranking. He's held the spot for quite a long time. Steffi Graf held it before him, and he kindly unburdened the player after she had dominated for a total of 377 weeks. That is a long time for someone to be considered the best in the world at something, but Djokovic came in to break that record. The 26-year streak came to an end, and that started his journey towards stardom.
Oh, it's magnificent.
He recently won the Australian Open and matched Rafael Nadal's record of 22 Grand Slam victories in the men's division. His 2 championships are considered the best record ever on Melbourne Park's courts. So, if you had any doubt about him being considered the best of the best, rest easy knowing that the man has gone above and beyond to deserve it.
Coolness personified.
Also, he set a season record for points scored. He established a record in the 2015 season that will probably never be surpassed again. Truly a once-in-a-generation kind of talent. He has won 11 major tournaments, including the Australian Open, Indian Wells, Miami, Monte Carlo, Wimbledon, US Open, Beijing, Shanghai, Paris-Bercy, and Masters Cup, and earned a total of 16,785 points. Another one of his records is for the best season start ever seen in a game. The Belgrade Titan went on to win the first 41 games of the 2011 campaign before falling to Roger Federer in the Roland Garros semifinals. He's the only person who has managed to win all 9 Master 1000 events, and actually won them on 2 separate occasions. He has held the title for the longest, having won 10 majors after turning 30. The tennis player from Belgrade's non-competitive diet and practices are paying off. At the age of 35 years and 252 days, he won his 10th Grand Slam championship in Australia. Seems like he's not going to slow down anytime soon, but maybe he should be taking it easy considering he's getting really old. He actually tore his hamstring in the Australian Open tournament. Craig Tilley, the director of the Australian Open, said that Novak Djokovic won his 10th championship on Sunday, despite having a 3-centimeter rupture in his left hamstring. A whole 3 centimeters. So I don't think anyone can doubt his athleticism. He's just too dedicated to his craft.
Short volley to finish it.
I think a lot of the issues with Novak come from the fact that he has a terrible reputation. He talked about it and said he didn't even notice at first. But when he got scanned, the doctor said that he wanted to be honest with him and said that most people shouldn't get involved. But he genuinely feared what would happen to him. So since then, he's been performing the best he can and has been selling out stadiums to come and watch him play. He is amazing because it seems impossible for someone with those kinds of physical disabilities to accomplish what they do. Djokovic's injured hamstring seems to be less of a worry as the competition progressed. And by the final 3 rounds, he appeared to be totally fine. He said that the wonderful thing about the Grand Slam here is that he had a day between the matches, so it allowed him to have more time to heal, to try to do all the treatments in order to get himself in something of good shape and condition to play and eventually win.
How good is that defense, that anticipation from the world #1?
And boy did he win. He felt the leg was not affecting him as much after the 4th round. He was moving much more fluidly, and it looked that way too. The Australian Open was where he honestly played some of his greatest tennis. The semifinals, quarterfinals, and 4th rounds were all won by players who were quite at ease on the court and shot the ball well. But the champ could be losing his record-breaking spot. Is it really a worry for him? Because a lot of players have come close, but none have ever actually beaten him. Djokovic has spent the most time of any player, male or female, at the top of the world rankings. So that alone should tell you something. I've been anticipating him crossing the 400-week mark of holding his title, and he'll probably make it easily.
Yet more history.
But according to a lot of analysts of the sport, his undefeated reign could be coming to an end in a couple of weeks. And it's because he's in a particularly vulnerable spot right now. But it's kind of his fault. He's just repeating the same old mistakes again, and doesn't want to learn from them. He refused to get vaccinated to be able to play tennis. The same thing happened in 2022 as well.
Well, I was ready to say...
After all, he's a man of pure conviction. He decided to stick to his decision, and no force on earth could change his mind at this point. Besides that, he's even fine with accepting whatever consequences he has to face. But he should probably reconsider, because there are dire consequences to this. The main one is that he won't be able to enter the United States. The American government doesn't care how big of a celebrity he is. They've decided to remain as stubborn as him, and are asking him to provide them with proof of vaccination. This policy is actually being overturned around May this year, but obviously that's a bit too late for the player. The damage will be done by then. He won't be able to defend himself at the Sunshine Double of Indian Wells. The funniest part is that he actually sent a letter to the government, asking that they give him an exemption just this once to not have the vaccination for COVID-19, but they refused, leaving him hanging out to dry. So I just don't understand why he would go to all that trouble, when he could just get a quick pinprick on his arm and be done with it. Now he's just leaving his position open for others to topple him as world number one. But who could it be? There are actually a number of decent players who could give Djokovic a run for his money. But to name the two that come to mind first, one is obviously Stefanos Tsitsipas, and the other is Carlos Alcaraz. He was the actual world number one by the end of the year, but he got injured and lost his chance to claim that prize. Before you start panicking, let me just tell you that it's probably very unlikely that they will beat him. Tsitsipas and Alcaraz both would need to absolutely destroy the Indian Wells and the Miami Masters. Only then can they officially take over Djokovic's ranking. But everyone knows that's easier said than done, because these events are just nightmares. And if you look back at history, their chances of succeeding look even worse, because only 10 people have ever won the Sunshine Double before. To be fair, 3 of them did actually manage to do it more than once. But still, the amazing feat hasn't been done since 2017. So that means that the event is just getting way tougher. Or maybe the players are just not as good as they used to be before. It has been won 4 times by Djokovic, 3 times by Roger Federer, and then it has been won by Steffi Graf as well. 3 of the best tennis players to ever grace this planet. So that just goes to show you how impressive of an achievement it is. Jim Courier, Michael Chang, Pete Sampras, Marcelo Rios, Andre Agassi, Kim Clijsters, and Victoria Azarenka are the other players that won it. And that's a wrap for Novak Djokovic and his world ranking being in danger.